What is up, guys? It's Brillymister here, and welcome to today's video. If you do enjoy all my content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell icon. There's also a link to the Discord server in the description down below. Come ahead and join in, come and have a little chat. It's a good laugh. So today's video, we're going to be talking about my alts, and well, alts in general really, and kind of whether it's worthwhile or my experience with it. So I made an alt back in 2014. It was shortly after I maxed my main account. I did it just because I was going to be doing a bit of AFK stuff on my main account and that kind of thing, and I wanted something more active to do in the game, so I'd be able to play the account a bit more whilst I was AFK and stuff on my main. So I started it off in 2014, and my idea originally was to make it into a fishing alt where I'd be able to make a bit of money through fishing rocktails when I was doing some PVM with my main. So it took a little bit of time to get it to a stage where I was able to do that, and I did that whilst AFK, and I can't remember what I was actually AFKing on my main at that time. I think I was trying to do some stuff for comp, by the way, still not comped. So I did that, and then once I got it fishing rocktails, I was making a fairly decent amount of money. I think I got to like 20 mil fishing XP, which it's nothing huge, but I made a decent amount of money off it, which I had on my, and I just left on my alt account. And then I started doing some really AFK stuff on my main account. So I worked on, and well, I achieved as well 120 fishing and thieving. I did thieving at Prifdinus, thieving them L's. It's very AFK. Made a decent amount of money off it. And whilst I was doing that, I then decided that I wanted to do something a bit more active, a bit more clicking, something where you're a bit involved in the game, because it took a long time to get both those 120s. Like, they're pretty slow skills, or the way I did them was pretty slow. I did 120 fishing at like the waterfall place in Prifdinus, and it was like, I don't know, the XP wasn't good. It took a long time. And I think that would be a pretty boring way to play the game on its own in months. So I did it for enjoyment then at that stage. I had my alt account still, and I decided I was going to start working towards making my alt account maxed. I didn't achieve it in this time, but I made a very large amount of progress towards it, and I really powered through and got quite a lot of 99s and stuff, and it was definitely getting towards being a bit more high level. Like, I'd unlocked Prif, that kind of stuff, and it was actually really enjoyable going through the game again and seeing how different it was compared with when I first did it on my main account back in like 2005, around that kind of time, a long time ago, and seeing how the beginning of the game and everything had all changed, and different things were relevant. Like, all the ways that I remember doing stuff when I was a noob just weren't valid anymore, if that makes sense. So it was quite enjoyable doing that. However, you don't really get the nostalgia or new player experience though. You never get that experience where you get well excited because you've saved up 200 GP to buy yourself an iron plate body, which is going with your med helm that you're wearing. And I remember when I was actually a noob, I was well excited because I got my first rune weapon, and it was a rune pickaxe, and I used a rune pickaxe to kill guards in Altscape in the little castle bit. And looking back at it, I can't believe I did that, but like, it's such a nostalgic thing. But you don't really get that the second way through, because you kind of do know the game, but you do get to play through it again, which is actually really quite enjoyable. So anyway, once I had maxed out my noob account, I then turned it into kind of, now it's a high level money making alt. So what I did was I unlocked spiritual warriors in my player in dungeon. It took quite a while. It probably took like 4 or 5 hours to get all 5 of the souls to get in there, but it was definitely the most worthwhile thing I've ever done on my alt. So I finished that. It was around November time last year that I maxed it out, and once I got all those in there, it's basically not left there since. And then this is onto the next bit of why an alt is really good, other than the fact that it gives you something really enjoyable to do whilst you're playing the main game on your main account or something like that. Then now it basically just makes money. It like literally sits there every time I'm online on my main or editing a video. Even right now as I'm recording this, it's at Spiritual Warriors in my player in dungeon, and it makes a consistent 4 mil an hour every hour that I'm on basically, and the amount of money you get from it is absolutely insane. If you haven't seen it, don't be sure to check out the loot from 360,000 Spiritual Warriors video that I made, and that will just show you how ridiculous the amount of money you make from it. It was like 2 bill I've made it there from like November to of July or whenever that was made. I'm probably closing in on 400k killed now, which is pretty ridiculous. I so wish they had a quick chat option for that, but they only have one for mages, but that kind of sucks. So the other thing that you can do with it as well, which it kind of like doubles down on your daily money makers, like your Viswax, instead of making like 700k from doing it on one account, you can now make 1.4 mil a day, and it really like increases the amount of money and everything that you can make, and it just passively does it while you're working on your main or anything like that, if you're doing something really AFK, which is amazing if you are saving up for like tier 92 weapons and like anything like that, the high level gear. When I was getting the tier 99 prayers, the noob account really helped, as it just was able to power money in and be able to unlock them much quicker. So the next kind of, it's almost a question to you or to myself, is it worth making an alt account? And in my opinion, yes, definitely, but not if you are already a low level player. If you're a high level player and you're maxed or close to max, then 100% definitely worthwhile making an alt account, because the time gaps between doing things and the amount of money you require for stuff is a lot bigger than if you're at low level, and the game becomes almost a bit more slow paced in terms of progress. So it gives you something to do, and it's definitely worthwhile. However, if you're a low level player or still working towards max on your main account, I probably wouldn't recommend making an alt just yet, as it will probably take away from your first sort of experience playing through the game and experiencing it all for the very first time. There's another way of working it out as to whether it's actually efficient money making wise to have an alt account, and it's kind of pretty conclusive that it is if you're able to make kind of like at least 2 mil an hour. I've assumed 2 mil an hour is a pretty conservative guess, but if you can make more than 2 mil an hour, then it is very definitely worthwhile having an alt. So if you assume that you're using bonds to fund the alt, then a bond at the time of recording this is 21 mil, so it's going to cost you 1.5 mil per day for that account to be funded. So you only need to play 1 hour every day or 7 hours a week, and you'll be already in profit if you can make 2 mil an hour. In fact, if you can make 1.5 mil an hour, then you'll basically break even. But I'm assuming that most players that play RuneScape and are going to be thinking about making an alt account are probably going to play for more than 1 hour a day. So I've assumed that you play 20 hours a week, which I would say is probably a fairly average for the casual player. It's nothing extreme, but it's a fairly average casual player amount, 20 hours a week. So if you make 2 mil an hour every hour on your alt, then you'll be making 40 mil per week, which is a massive amount. And if you times that by 4 for a month, then that's 160 mil in a month you'll be making. So obviously you've got to then take the bond costs out of that if you're going to be funding it with bonds. I personally don't, I just have membership on both accounts, but if you do want to play it with bonds, then you can. So if you take out 42 mil from the 160, that leaves you with 118 mil profit per month, and that's assuming you only make 2 mil an hour. If you're doing like my alt does, Spiritual Warriors in your player and dungeons, it easily makes 4 mil to 5 mil per hour every hour, and you can see how the profit really does add and stack up. So that kind of really is what I wanted to talk about. Why I have the alt and why I think it's worthwhile, and I just kind of want to know what you guys think. So leave a comment down below if you do have an alt and what you use that alt for, or if any of you are thinking about making an alt account and what you kind of want to do with it. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for now. If you did enjoy this video or found it interesting in any way, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you're notified of all my future content. Until next time, see you.